And we welcome you to East Rutherford, New Jersey. It's the Giants training camp report presented by Citizens as the Giants go through their second practice of training camp 2022. A look from above. Bob Papa along with two-time Super Bowl champion Carl Banks. So glad you can join us as we take you on this journey with the 2022 New York Giants. And Carl, they got good work in yesterday. It was a brisk practice. Head coach Brian Dable gets a lot of things done. Everything's well scripted and a lot of enthusiasm. So what does the coaching staff want to see out of the players in day two?
Progress. It's different levels of progress. You have guys that have been pros for a while. They know some of the things they have to get better at. But the rookies, this is all new to them. So it's progress. It's guys like Evan Neal who gets to see a technique live against an opponent who has to now make the adjustment and come out tomorrow, or which is today, and to make sure that he's doing the little things right. So for young players, this is all new. This game is all new. They're teaching you techniques, and it's flying by. And if you're trying to make the team, your margin for error is not as large as a guy who was drafted higher.
And Carl, listen, this team has come off, some really rough years. There's a new regime. And the rookie class is going to have to carry their weight. I mean, this is not a 14-win team coming off an NFC championship where you can sort of work rookies in. They have to hit the ground running and be a part of the solution for this team to be better in 2022.
Yeah, I don't think I can say it more clearly, Bob. This is a complete rebuild. And so this class is part of the new era of Giants football. And they're going to be counted on to be a part of this right away. And I say that because you got very high draft choices here. They weren't brought in to sit behind someone. They're brought in to be a part of the solution. And there's Kevon Thibodeau there who's going to have to factor in a big way. Him and Azeez Ojulari. Again, he's a young player. He's a part of the solution here.
And Carl, just for the fans that are watching, what is this drill that they're doing right now with the edge rushers and linebackers?
This is active warm-up. Now, they're just doing get-off drills now. Just see the ball, get off on the line of scrimmage. This is a build-up until they get into team drills. So you're just practicing technique, and all these little things count. If you're a young player, you want to impress that you can get off on that with that first step, and this is all about the first step. And you can see Kevon Thibodeau there, good body lean. There's the explosiveness.
Now we're taking a look at the big guys on the interior. What's this? This is all about hand placement.
Hand placement and running the circle, getting slim. When you get past your opponent here, the offensive lineman, you've got to turn that edge. You can't get too wide so that the lineman can recover and push you out. And there's Brian Cox there, one of my contemporaries, and he's teaching them how to turn that corner tight so that you don't get pushed past the quarterback.
All right, so Leonard Williams, he's going to be first to go right here. And obviously what the Giants need out of him, not only his leadership, production, he's been a productive player. Dexter Lawrence getting ready to go through his routine as well. Those are two very key components of this Giants team defensively.
Yeah, these are two major cogs in this defense because the disruption that both of these players are capable of in much different ways. I believe that you're gonna see Dexter down on the nose some this year, which he could be a very disruptive force right in the middle of the defense. And Leonard Williams, you can move him up and down the defensive line.
And these are all like little things, right? I mean, fans are watching it. It seems a little monotonous, but it's one of those situations where practice literally makes perfect. And the technique and the repetitions that you get, I'm guessing, Carl, is so that when you get in game situations, first live scrimmages, then preseason games, and eventually the regular season, it becomes instinctive and there's no thought process whatsoever.
Second nature. But if you practice bad habits, they tend to show up. So these are the times where you're perfecting. It's like learning to write letters, making sure that you're within the lines, and every curve and every line is exactly like you want it, and you practice it until you get it, until it becomes second nature. Here's a tackling drill here, defensive backs and linebackers.
See, now, we don't want to date ourselves, but my first training camp was at FDU Madison in 1988. Carl, you were still a player, and that's when it was, 9 a.m. or 8:30 a.m. until 11:30 a.m., full pads, shower, lunch, rest, full pads again at 3.
Yeah.
You didn't get to tackle the donut back then.
No. So this is those little lifesaver circles there were actual teammates. So all of these tackling drills here were live. Maybe not to the ground, but boy, if the coaches didn't hear the pad smack, then it wasn't a good rep.
Now the Giants are not in pads. They're going to go put pads on starting next week. So this is one of the many phases that they now have, whether it's the offseason or training camp, acclimating players, building toward that end result of full physical football. You see the extra padded helmet that they're wearing because they don't want, especially with guys having not hit each other for so long, they don't want accidental collisions. So they want to make sure you keep the head protected.
Well, it really comes down to Bob being ready for the first game of the season. So I think the learnings over the decades have shown that having players ready by September as opposed to having them hitting and playing games at this stage is counterproductive because you get injuries and you start to manage injuries and become injury maintenance more so than getting your team ramped up, ready to play.
Carl, we saw a little bit of the secondary guys doing drills. That's sort of a big question with this football team is how they're going to round out this secondary. Obviously, Xavier McKinney on the back end, I think he's going to have, I don't want to say a breakout season. I think he's going to just continue to improve and become one of the better safeties in the league. But they've got to figure out the whole corner landscape opposite of Dory Jackson, and then depth because you need 3, 4, 5 corners in this league to be competitive.
Well, you literally need 4 corners to have a starting defensive backfield because teams will employ 4 receivers in a back, making it 5 receivers, and you just can't count on linebackers to take the slowest receiver. So, I mean, we look at Aaron Robinson, Darnay Holmes, Rodarius Williams, guys that are going to have to factor in here. Darnay Holmes is off to a good start. Julian Love is the guy who's very intriguing because he is legitimately the Swiss Army knife. The more you ask him to do, the more he does and does it well. But it just comes down to having the bodies and the abilities to go against, 3 number 1 receivers. You talk about who's a number 1, 2, and 3 receiver. The way the league is set up now, it's just wherever they position them, they become number 1. So you can find yourself on a team's best receiver because it's a league of matchups.
And now we're going to take you over to some one-on-ones. Offense wearing blue. Tyrod Taylor, great addition for this football team on a zillion different levels. To have a veteran presence, guy that's been around the block. Daniel Jones has not proven to be able to stay healthy over 16 games. You can't have your season fall apart. Tyrod Taylor ensures that your season doesn't fall apart.
Well, yeah, and Tyrod Taylor is not
That's
just
there by Darius Slayton.
There we go. Tyrod Taylor is not your hold the rope type of backup quarterback. He's been a starter in this league. He's ever ready. But when he steps in, there is an expectation not just to hold the rope until the other guy comes back. You want him to help you win football games.
Nice sliding catch there by Jordan Akins, number 88, a fifth-year pro out of Central Florida. I mean, this is an opportunity camp on a lot of different levels. I mean, Carl, you know full well that you've been on teams in the past with the Giants that are coming off huge successful seasons, and it's a battle for, who's going to win a backup job.
5 or 6 roster spots, right?
Right.
And then I've been a part of the beginning of what we consider Giants football, the era of Giants football, where it was a complete rebuild. There were so many opportunities And the reality is when you are a 4-win team and the mandate from ownership, from management is to get it right, then that means there are no favorites. Like, you have got to go out and seize an opportunity. If you're a young player, this is the team you want to be on. If you're a free agent and your agent said the best place for you to make a team is the New York Giants, he's not lying. Because we're just sitting here, we can't pencil in certain positions. We don't know who the number 2 corner is, right? That's open for competition. If there's a number 2 corner available, position available, then there's a number 3 or number 4, right? If there's a backup safety, who's gonna be behind Julian Love and Xavier McKinney, right? So there are just so many opportunities here to do to put your job application in and really to prove yourself.
Wan'Dale Robinson can't make the catch. Xavier McKinney on the coverage.
Boy, Rondell Robinson and Kadarius Toney, they're gonna be very exciting to watch. And I talked about the league being a league of matchups, right? Imagine matching up on 2 little water bugs, right? It's gonna be hard to press them, because they're so shifty. And then you've got Kenny Galladay.
Boy, that's a heck of a catch right there, going up high to snag it. And that was Marcus Kemp, 5th-year pro out of Hawaii. So they've done some individual stuff. They'll do some team stuff. The installation period as well. What about as we get a look at the Giants here working a little offense here against the defense. Daniel Jones. That's Wan'Dale Robinson. Whew. Pretty shifty.
Yep, he is. And he's a guy, he's played running back at the college level. He's been a wide receiver. He's going to be such a utility player, but he gives this offense so many dimensions and so many things to worry about with both him and Saquon Barkley and Kadarius Toney, all guys with just diverse skill sets. And the key here, Bob, is being able to employ that skill set. You need a consistency up front. You need to have consistency on the offensive line to really take advantage of all these things, because when a team can give you so many different looks, if your offensive line can just play with some consistency, your defense is going to always be off guard. But if you're inconsistent up front, you're not going to be able to employ the things that you need. And I think that's why you have an Evan Neal as a first-round draft choice to help shore that up.
Yeah, and you saw some ones going against ones there, and Thibodeau has now come in.
Blake Martinez, good to see him moving around.
Saquon Barkley on the screen. Nice job by Adoree Jackson, and then the rest of the defense to come clean it up and contain it. Just watching practice yesterday, Saquon just looked more confident than he did last year. Obviously, it's a year now removed from that knee surgery.
Yeah, and the thing is, he was, from a confidence level, I think ability-wise, he was back. But from a confidence level, it was starting to come right before the unfortunate ankle injury he suffered in Dallas. You could start to see the confidence start to match his ability, because the body was back, but the confidence that he could do it was slowly starting to come. So this is now a progression or a continuation of that.
Ben Bredesen, who was signed from the Ravens last year, he's at center right now. Davis Webb is the quarterback right now, and a little short completion there to Alex Bachmann, wide receiver out of Wake Forest. He's been on the practice squad with the Giants and even had an opportunity to play. Heck, the last year and the last couple of years with injuries and everything else, everybody's had a chance to play.
Sure. And again, we're talking a lot about frontline players, but once you get past the opening chapter, again, there's opportunity at depth across the board. Like the wide receiver position I mean, that's why a guy like Darius Slayton needs to get his act together and really focus, because the depth at the receiver position, you can't name two names, because they've had a rash of injuries. Sterling Shepard is still on PUP. You got 4, and then who else?
All right, the starting offense is back in there. Saw Daniel Jones jog out there, Kenny Golladay jog out there, Saquon Barkley, Kadarius Toney. Giants starting defense is in there as well. They have Shane Lemieux is in at left guard, number 66. And that's one of the areas on this offensive line that, is a big question mark at this point as to who is going to be that starting left guard.
Yeah, again, help wanted, vacancy. So Lemieux has shown really good competitiveness. But the execution across the board with this offensive line has to be better. Better than competitiveness, execution is very important.
John Feliciano, former Buffalo Bill, has been getting the turns with the starting unit at center.
Knows the system.
Let's see what Daniel Jones has here. And that pass gets broken up by Julian Love, intended for Kenny Golladay. Nice play by Julian Love, who always seems to be in the right place at the right time.
Yeah. Julian on the spot. And Kenny Golladay obviously had a tough year last year. So this should be something that he wants to come out and prove as well.
All right, Carl, as we wrap it up here, your impressions of, A, what you've seen out of practice so far, and B, your sense here of this entire fan experience.
Well, the fan experience is great. The practice is ongoing. This is, day 2. You're going to start to see some flashes by the end of the week because some guys are going to get tired and other guys are going to say, hey, look, I got to step up now. Everybody's legs are hurting. Let me show what I can do. So day 4 of practice will be the real telltale.
Giants and their fans coming together. Great to have the fans back. Again, you can go to Giants.com, the Giants YouTube channel for the practice, the Giants training camp show presented by Citizens. It also airs on MSG. So for Carl Banks and our entire crew, I'm Bob Papa. Thanks for joining us for this edition of the Giants Training Camp Report presented by Citizens.